Hello, good evening, and warm welcome at the Thinking Palette platform. In this video of the Simply Explained series, today I will talk about the Schedule 5 and the Schedule 6. Along with the description of Schedule 5 and Schedule 6, I will also talk about the recent Bodo Accord of 2020. This is basically a current affairs, and the best idea to understand the static part is also to integrate it with the current affairs. Okay. So now, before going into the detail, first of all, we will understand or we will have a basic understanding of the tribes in India. The total population of the tribes in India is 104 million, which is approximately equal to 8.6% of the total population of the country. Second important piece of information is Bhil community or the Bhil tribal community has the largest population amongst the tribe, and they constitute 37.7% approximately of the total population of scheduled tribe. Okay. Now, these tribes are not homogeneous groups. These tribes can be divided under denotified tribes, nomadic tribes, semi-nomadic tribes, and particularly vulnerable tribal groups. Now, to understand denotified tribes, we will have to go in little bit of the history. For example, in 1871, British India brought Criminal Tribe Act, and this act has notified certain groups or the certain groups of the tribe as the criminal. Then the question is, who are those groups? Some of the example of those groups is Wagri in Maharashtra and Sikli Gar in Punjab. Okay. Now, in this context, Government of India in 1952 brought an act which has denotified those tribes which are being considered as a criminal under Criminal Tribe Act. But the problem arises that after they have been denotified, most of them are not being categorized under SC, ST, and OBC. Therefore, most of the denotified tribes are not getting the benefits of the reservation. Now, the second thing is nomadic and semi nomadic tribe. Now, the semi nomadic tribe and the nomadic tribe, the distinction between these two categories is not based on ethnicity, neither it is based on the difference on the language basis. However, the difference can be understood from degree of mobility. What is the meaning of degree of mobility? It simply means that how frequent they are moving from one place to another. Now, the last category is particularly vulnerable tribal group. Now, there are certain characteristics. If it is satisfied, then only we will say that these groups comes under the definition of particularly vulnerable tribal group. So now, what are those factors? We will look into that. The very first factor is the declining or stagnant population of such groups. Second is economic backwardness. Third is low level of literacy. And fourth is pre-agricultural level technology. Simply means they are using subsistence kind of agriculture and not mechanized form of the agriculture. Now, the particularly vulnerable tribal groups, the total number of such groups is 75, and they reside in 18 states and one union territories, that is Andaman and Nicobar. And from here, the UPSC has asked the question directly and can ask the question in the future that whether they live in 18 states or 17 states or one union territory or two union territory. So basically, this information is very important. Now, moving to Schedule 5 and Schedule 6. Now, the question arises that what is Schedule 5 and Schedule 6? Schedule 5 is basically for the administration of tribals living in the states other than the four states. Okay, अभी के लिए केवल ये याद रखो, other than the four states. Now, what are those four states? Those four states is Assam, Meghalaya, Mizoram, and Tripura. Okay. So the tribals living in these states are being administered as per Schedule 6, and the tribals living except these states are being administered through Schedule 5. Now the question which comes in your mind, that why there is such a distinction when in both the areas tribals are inhabited. The answer is the tribals in these four states which is under the administration of Schedule 6 has not been assimilated to the mainstream culture, not assimilated. Whenever you will look into the certain categories of the tribals in Jharkhand, for example, like Munda, Orao, Bhil in Rajasthan, then you will find that most of them have been integrated to the mainstream culture. So they have been categorized under Schedule 6 so that for the better administration of these particular tribal groups. Understood? Now, the question is when you will say any area as a scheduled area. For example, the tribals are living in XYZ area. So can you say all these areas as a scheduled area? No. The President of India will declare any area as a scheduled area, and President of India takes certain factors under his consideration in order to declare any area as a scheduled area. So what are those factors or criteria? The very first criteria is preponderance of tribal population, compactness and reasonable size of the area, a viable administrative entity such as district, block, or taluk, and economic backwardness of the area as compared to the neighboring areas. These are the criteria. Now, how the scheduled area are administered? Or if I ask you question that who has the responsibility for the administration of the scheduled area, whether the responsibility of the state legislature or the responsibility of governor or the responsibility of the president. Basically, governor is the immediate boss which will look into the peace and stability of this region. However, everything is being under the administration of the president. Okay, and there is also a provision of tribes advisory council. This tribe advisory council has been constituted under Schedule 5 areas for the welfare of the tribal people. So the question arises that who comes under tribes advisory council? The total membership of the tribes advisory council is 20, and 3/4 of them must be from this community, that is from the ST community. Understood? Now the next question is it का मतलब यहाँ पे है Schedule 5. Does the Schedule 5 comes under the control of state legislature and parliament? It simply means, can a state legislature and parliament give executive plus can make the laws with respect to the scheduled areas? Yes, they can give the executive direction. Yes, they can enact the laws. However, the governor will determine the applicability of these laws or the executive direction. If the governor thinks that it is fit to extend the law made by the state legislature and parliament, then he will give his assent. However, he may decline his assent also, and in that case, the law made by either state legislature or by parliament will not be applicable. Understood? Now, this is the end of the administration of the Schedule 5 areas. Now we are moving to the tribal areas, that is the Schedule 6 area. Okay? As we have talked about that the administration of the Schedule 6 area, basically it can be seen in the four states, that is Meghalaya, Mizoram, Assam, and Tripura. Now you can look into that, it is written autonomous everywhere, it is written autonomous district council. So we will look into that, what is this autonomous district council. But for that we will have to understand that how the administration of tribal areas is being done. For the administration of tribal areas, there is a provision to constitute autonomous district council. Understood? This district council, for example, now you can understand like this. This is a district, okay? And for there is a district council is created, and in this district there are different regions in between the districts. So for the administration of this region, there is a regional council. So basically they are being administered through district council and regional council. Okay, now the district council consists of 30 members. 26 out of 30 are elected by the universal adult franchise, and 4 are nominated by the governor. However, there is one exception, and the exception is this Bodoland Territorial Council. Bodoland Territorial Council have 46 members, not 30 members. However, in all the autonomous districts, Tripura, Mara, Lai, Chakma, everywhere you will find that the maximum membership is of 30, but in Bodoland it is 46. Understood? Now, what is the power of the governor? Now, the power of the governor can be understood from the fact that if I ask to you that who constitute autonomous district council, then the answer is governor. If I ask you that who has a power to dissolve the autonomous district council, then it is again the governor. So basically, the power of the governor is that he is the authority to decide the dissolve or to create autonomous district council. Now there are different other powers of the governor also, and that we will answer while answering this question, that what are the limitation of the different organs of government in these areas. It's simply asking to you that whether the law made by the state legislature or parliament will be applicable to Assam, Meghalaya, Mizoram, and Tripura. Now, again, we will look into the power of the governor. For example, governor is the ultimate authority to decide that whether the law made by the state legislature and the parliament with respect to the Assam will be applicable to the Assam or not will be decided by the governor. However, the law made by the parliament in the case of Meghalaya, Mizoram, Tripura will be decided by the president. And again, we will look into the power of governor because the law made by the state legislature, even in the case of Meghalaya, Mizoram, and Tripura, lies with the governor. Understood? Now, what you need to remember is in the case of Meghalaya, Mizoram, Tripura, parliamentary law and the president, okay, P and P. P for president, P for parliamentary law. However, in another cases, the governor is the ultimate authority to decide that whether the law will be applicable in these autonomous district council or not. Now, we will compare the Schedule 5 and Schedule 6. It can be asked directly in the men's examination also, okay? If someone asks you about the difference between the Schedule 5 and Schedule 6 area, then you can start your answer with respect to the difference in the administrative structure. For example, in Schedule 6, there is ADC. In Schedule 5, there is Tribes Advisory Council. Understood? Now, coming to the power. Whether the Schedule 5 have a legislative power? No. Then the Schedule 6 can make the law with respect to marriage, with respect to divorce, with respect to land, etc. Okay, so they have the legislative power and administrative power. Does the Schedule 5 areas have administrative power? No. The Schedule 6 areas have administrative power with respect to administration of schools, dispensary, and regulation of money lending also. Now, the third thing, does the Schedule 5 enjoy judicial power? No. Again, in the case of Schedule 5, they have a power to constitute a civil court in order to deal with the matter related to marriage, divorce, and the land. And in this case, again, one thing you need to remember that even the jurisdiction of High Court does not apply here. Jurisdiction of High Court does not apply here. Understood? Now, one thing I will add in the next slide with respect to the jurisdiction of the High Court. Then you will have to relate the things. Now, who are the Bodos or historical journeys of the BTAD? This is basically a current affairs. Okay. Recently, the agreement have been signed between the central government, state government, and All India Bodo Student Association. So basically, therefore, we are looking into this. Now, the very first demand of the statehood by the Bodos people was started in 1967. It is not that for the first time they have started it in 1967, but this was the organized demand Although the demand for the different land or the separate state for Bodos has been started since from 1928 during the Simon Commission. Okay, now coming to these four different years. In 1987, what happened? That Assam Accord has been signed. Basically, Assam Accord gave rise to the Bodo aspirations of the demand of separate statehood. And therefore, the 1903 is the year in which first Bodo Accord has been signed. And this first Bodo Accord talks about the establishment of Bodoland Area Council, BAC. Okay, but this BAC have a very limited powers. And in 2003, the second Bodo Accord has been signed. And this second Bodo Accord talks about the establishment of Bodoland Territorial Council. Basically, this is an autonomous body. Bodoland Territorial Council is an autonomous body. And under this body, this is BTAD, Bodoland Territorial Area District. And these are the different districts under Bodoland Territorial Area District, that is Kokrajhar, Chirang, Baksa and Udgalgiri. Okay, and there are approximately 3000 different villages under this different district. One thing which you should know here, in all the villages, it is not the case that the Bodos are dominant, but in most of the villages, non-Bodos are also dominant, and in some of the villages, Bodos are dominant. Now, in the next slide, you will understand that why I have given this information to you here. Okay, and in 2020, I have just talked about that recently the government have signed an agreement, or there is a framework to redraw the boundary of BTAD, that is Bodoland Territorial Area Council. Understood? Now the question is, what are the different kinds of the clauses under the various agreement signed between the central state government and Bodo groups? Now the very first thing is that this framework talks about the constitution of commission, and this commission will include those areas where Bodo is living in dominance, and it will exclude where the Bodos are not dominant. Understood? Second is, there is also a talk of establishment of Bodo Kacheri Welfare Board, and Bodo language will be considered as associate official language of the Assam. And the last important clause of this agreement is that the Bodos who are living in the hill areas of the Assam will be considered as, or will have the status of scheduled tribe. Basically, these are the recent framework of the agreement signed. Now, these are the different questions which you need to give answer in the comment box. Does the legislative power of parliament extend to scheduled area? Give the answer in yes or no. Who decided that the law of the parliament will be applicable in Mizoram and Tripura? We have just discussed it, so you will have to give answer in the comment section. And who has the authority to decide that jurisdiction of High Court will apply in the Schedule 6 areas? Now you can relate it to this one, where I have said that the jurisdiction of the High Court will not be applicable into the civil court constituted under autonomous district council. But the question is that whether this jurisdiction can be extended. Yes, it can be extended. But the question is who can extend? Whether the governor can extend or president can extend. I hope you are enjoying the Simply Explained series. In the next video, I will again pick one of the important topic which is very complex to understand.